So this is the video that will showcase all of the missing answers from the previous video. So if you haven't watched the first video, I suggest you do that now. I'm going to try and re-upload it so that way you see the full screen of it all. But remember, I'm only doing the ones that are starred on this, and if your study guide is not complete, you will not be able to use it on the test or get full credit. Okay. So the first one that we talked about is this domain and range one from number 1. Basically what we're trying to figure out is if it's a function or not a function. And remember, up here we left off saying x is not allowed to cheat where y can cheat. Okay. And for those of us that don't know, domain is the same thing as x, range is the same thing as y. So my x's cannot have different y's. It has to have the same. So 3 and 7, that is a different, so that works. 6 and 8, no one's cheating so far. 7 and 11, and 8 and 12. So you see how all of my x's, well, none of my x's had the same y's, so therefore this is a function. All right. Okay. Let's move on to the next one. Number 2 was done, but number 3, we're going to stop right here and do number 3. So number 3, we left off doing half of the problem. You just needed to complete the rest of the problem with C. So we noticed that C said f of -2, and we match it with the yellow one right here. So all I'm going to do is input my -2 in for every time I see an x, which is why I did that right here. So f of -2 equals 7, and that should be a -2, not a +2, plus 5. So 7 times -2, I'm going to erase this box, is going to give you -14 and then plus 5. While you owed somebody $14, you only paid them $5, you still owe them $9. So that's a -9. And now let's look at the other one. So the other one said g of 11, which matches the g of x over here. So I'm going to match g of 11. I'm going to put my 11 as my input, and in my output, I'm going to put my answer. So I put g of 11, and I put 11 squared minus 6, because that's what the problem says over here. So 11 squared, so 11 times 11 is 121. So I have 121 minus 6, and 121 minus 6 gives you an answer of 115. So hopefully you got that when you did the problem. Now it wants us to add both of these answers together. So you are basically saying you have $115, you spent $9, you still have $106. So 106 is your answer, and that's what you put for C. All right. If you got confused, look back at the previous video and figure out where you got confused with. Okay. So that was number 3. Number 4, we already completed. So you should have that from the previous video. If you don't, please do so now. Number 5, we left off right here. So we left off with 2 problems. Okay, very easy. So all I'm doing is I'm matching. So the next one I'm going to match is 2. So I look at 2, I highlight 2, and I highlight 2 at the other one. So that's why I match them with the yellows. Then I'm going to take my answer. My answer for 2 is 1. So all that I'm going to do is I'm going to use the formula down here and replace the blue part with the blue number. So this says 2 times 1 plus 3. 2 times 1, well, that's easy. 2 plus 3 is 5. All right. Now let's do the next one. The next one, I do 5, so I match it with the 5 over here. I take my answer for 5, which is -5, and I replace it with the blue down at the problem. So Let's do this one in purple. 2 times negative 5 plus 3. Okay, 2 times 5 is 10, but since it's a negative 10 plus 3. So this is essentially asking, you borrowed $10 from somebody, you paid them $3. How much money do you owe them? You owe them negative $7. And that's it. All right. Okay, moving on. Number 6, I did want to mention something. I messed up on this one. The answer should not be 22. So earlier we added 3 and 3, which gave us a 6, which gave us 6 plus 4 gave us 10. So it's not minus 10 from 32. It's actually 36 minus 10. And 36 minus 10 would give you 26. So that should be our answer, not 22. So I apologize on that. And let's move on. Okay, number 7 we finished. Number 8 we finished. Number 9 we finished. Number 10 is done. Okay, now number 11. We pretty much talked about this last class, but let's go over it really quick. Okay, I have polynomials, I have integers, and I have rationals. And it says check the boxes for the following sets that are closed for the given operation. So basically what that means is if I have an integer, and an integer is any positive or negative number, so that's 5 plus 5, my answer will be an integer. Since it's closed under addition, that is correct. Okay, subtraction, yes. Multiplication, yes. But here's the thing. If I do 3 divided by 2, you see, does that go in evenly? No, it doesn't. So if I do 3 divided by 2, it leaves me as a fraction, and a fraction is not an integer. So it is not closed under division. All right. So all that integers are closed under is addition, subtraction, and multiplication, not division. All right, polynomials. Polynomials, adding and subtracting, yes. We did this one earlier. Multiplication, yes, as well. Division. Now the only thing about division is if I did 3x squared divided by 9x 4. When you divide exponents, remember you're dividing means you're subtracting. So 2 minus 4 gives you a negative exponent. So this answer would be 3x minus 2. And since you cannot have a negative exponent, it is also not closed under division. So when you divide two polynomials, you get a negative exponent, and that is not a polynomial. All right, rational numbers. Rational numbers. Okay, rational numbers, we talked about that. It is closed under addition, it's closed under subtraction, and it's closed under multiplication. But here's the thing, it's not closed under division. You guys are going to get a little hint for your test. On your test, it's going to say non-zero rational numbers. Now, if it says non-zero rational numbers, I did not want that. Non-zero rational numbers, it is closed. So, is closed for division. All right. So, that's a little hint right there, a little answer. So, if this said non-zero rationals, you would have checked it. But since it says just rational numbers, you do not check it. All right. Okay. Moving on to number 12. Number 12, we left off right here. This one was fairly easy. So if we get this one wrong, I already told you I'd be upset. All right. So all we are doing is we are inputting the 4 seconds in for the problem. And that gave us h of 4 equals negative 16, 4 squared, plus 70 times 4. So PEMDAS tells us to do parentheses first. There's nothing in parentheses, so I can't do that one first. There is an exponent, and that's 4 times 4. And 4 times 4 gives us the 16. All right, so this is going to be negative 16 times 16 plus 70 times 4. All right, so exponents are done. Multiplication, well, I have two multiplications, so let's do both of them. So negative 16 times positive 16 is negative 256. All right, 70 times 4 gives us positive 280. All right, so basically what this is saying is you have $280. You spent $256. So all you're doing is 280 minus 256, giving you an answer of 24. Now here's the thing. You have to make sure that you put 24 feet per second. How did I know to put that? Well, look at what I highlighted right here. And that's why I highlighted that at the beginning, because that is what I'm measuring. I'm measuring seconds and I'm measuring feet per second. So you would do 24 feet per second. All right. Okay, let's move on to number 13. Number 13, we left off with C and D. So all we are using is the slope formula to figure out what the slope is for C and D. So in order for me to do that, let's go ahead and let's find what the point is for C. And that point is right here. So I look at my chart. My chart says it's at 2 and 5. And then let's do D. And D is right here. And that says 3 and 2. 3 and 2. All right. Now I'm just going to put my x1s, y1s. So x, y, x, y. I'm going to put little ones right here so I know these are x1s because these are my first ones. And I'm going to put 2s right here. Now I'm just going to follow my formula. So y2, well, y2 is 2 minus y1, y1 is 5. I put my division, so it's going to be over x2, x2 is 3 minus 2. All right. So 2 minus 5, that means it's going to be you had $2 in your pocket, but you borrowed $5. So when you paid them, you still owe them $3. And 3 minus 2, well, that's 1. So can I reduce 3 over 1? Yep, it's just going to be negative 3. And there's my answer right here. All right. Okay. Moving on to number 14. Number 14, pretty much the same thing. I'm going to use my slope formula, and that's y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. All right. I already highlighted the points that it wanted me to use. It wanted me to use n and t. So n's and t, my x's go first, my y's go second. So n is going to be 1 and 3. T is going to be 3 and 27. All right. I can go ahead and put my x and y's. So x, y, 1, 1, 2, 2. y2, that's 27 minus 3 over 3 minus 1. All right, 27 minus 3 gives us 24. And 3 minus 1 gives us 2. 24 divided by 2 gives us 12. So my slope, or my average rate of change, is 12. Okay. Last one, number 15. Number 15, I wanted you to do C and D. And I gave you a little cheat sheet right here, outside and inside parentheses. So letter C says g of x minus 4, but we're going to start with f of x. So we're going to start with my black line right here, and we're going to always start at the vertex. Now I notice that it's it's inside parentheses, and it's outside the parentheses, and it's a negative. So outside and negative means I'm going down 4. So if I start right at f of x and I go down, well, I clearly see there's nothing down here, so C is wrong as well. All right, last one, D. D wants us to start with f of x again, so I start right at the vertex. And this time, instead of outside, it's inside. So inside parentheses right here, and it's a negative, so I'm going to go to the right, and it wants me to go to the right 4 times. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. So let's just count 1, 2, 3, and 4. And that would have been g of x. So that is wrong because nothing is there as well. So the only one is A. Alright, so that's it. I'm going to stop the video here. Study up and get ready for your test.